Hey Geek fans, I'm Steve.
Yeah. You're supposed to go.
Well,
Yeah,
am I
you're
going?
supposed
I
to
thought
go.
we were reading left to right. Okay, well, I'm Sippy.
I'm Andrew.
All right, Andrew, thank you for joining us again for another of these spoiler casts. Justice League opened
Oh, is that
today.
what? Oh,
That is
shoot.
what we're talking
I
about.
thought we were talking about Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh,
Dang it.
he didn't get
No,
the
we
memo.
went to see Wonder today, didn't we?
Oh, God. No, Justice League.
Did that come out?
We're talking
that is
about.
not going to do well in the box office.
We're talking
I'm sorry,
about
guys.
Justice League. All right, so we're going to start now with spoiler-free reviews
So
from
this is
each of
safe.
us.
If you have not seen it, this is safe.
You are safe. So, Sippy, what are your thoughts? You are not as big of a DC Comics fan as Andrew and I, so let's get your thoughts first.
What are you talking about? I'm not wearing a Spider-Man shirt today.
Oh my gosh, you are. That is
I know.
great.
It's low-key Spider-Man shirt.
That is
but it
really
yeah.
low key, but I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay,
It's good.
so thoughts on Justice League?
Okay. I'm going to start off by saying that this movie is not without its flaws. I felt like it did have some pacing issues, and there was some kind of, I'm not going to go into it right now, but there was some kind of wonky CGI that did take me out of it at a couple points. But I just had a freaking blast. I had so much fun sitting in that theater and watching all of these heroes work together, fight bad guys, just beat people down. I just had fun. So was it a perfect movie? Not by any stretch of the imagination. But I had fun, and I think it is worth it seeing it on the big screen to see that action so big.
All right, Andrew, your thoughts.
I kind of didn't like it.
Wow. All right, here we go, folks.
Let's get into it.
I
Okay.
didn't like it. I think, I kind of chatted with you a little bit before the movie started about expectations and trying to check those expectations at the door going into the movie, and maybe I didn't check my expectations.
Maybe not, because my expectations were here. Like, it's off camera, folks.
I kind of really didn't like it.
Wow, so you really, okay. Okay.
Well, okay. I didn't like Suicide Squad. That was like an immediate reaction. Like, I did not like Suicide Squad. And everybody else, when we were coming out of the theater, everybody else was going, oh yeah, that was cool. I really like that. And I was like, I didn't like that. I like this better than Suicide Squad, but not as much as like Wonder Woman or Batman versus Superman.
Okay. All right. Well, my thoughts. I was more middle of the road. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. There were things about it that, in the spoiler cast, we'll get into a little bit, that did take me out. I enjoyed it. I thought there were great cheer moments. Obviously, I'm a huge Superman fan, and anything that has to do with the Justice League, I love. And so. But there were things where I could tell where it was a product of two different directors.
Yep.
And but I did enjoy it. I would say go and see it because it is a good popcorn movie. And in truth, some of the problems that I had with it are similar problems to what I had with Avengers. Actually,
Which Avenger?
the first one.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with the first Avengers.
There is.
You must be mistaken.
Terribly flawed.
I love the first Avengers.
terribly
Yeah,
flawed
I
movie.
do love the first Avengers. I love that movie.
Right.
But there were things about it that bothered me. So I would give it, if I had to give it a grade, I would probably give it a 7.5.
I would probably give it like a 6.8.
Okay.
5.
Okay, there we go. All right, should we now get into spoilers?
Okay, so
Well,
now...
well, let me
oh.
let me expand. a
No,
little
we
bit.
shall not, Steve.
Let me.
No, sir.
No, I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to say driving over here, and I was thinking about you kind of mentioned it briefly with Whedon and Snyder. Both, it's kind of a product of both, and I kind of that to me is the biggest failing of this movie. Is it's a movie without a voice.
It did have it tonally. It was all over the place.
It has no voice whatsoever. It's as if a movie was made by a committee instead of, and because I was thinking to myself, why did I like Batman versus Superman so much, and I really didn't like this movie. It's because Batman versus Superman has that voice. It has Zack Snyder has this.
Oh, it is a Zack Snyder movie for sure.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole film, and it kind of brings everything together and coheses it. And this is just a freaking mess.
All right.
It's just a freaking mess.
All right, now let's get into the mess now.
Okay, so this is, look at me, close-up camera. This, if you haven't seen this movie, It is not safe for you to go any further. Do you understand, close-up camera? Okay. We're getting into spoilers.
Okay. Spoiler stuff. So.
What the heck? I could totally tell his lip was fake.
I could too.
Okay, so what we're talking about here, Henry Cavill, they had extensive reshoots on this movie, and Henry Cavill's in Mission Impossible 6, and his character has a mustache, and contractually speaking, he could not shave it off. And so they CGI'd
it was so
off.
ridiculous. Paramount wouldn't allow him to do
know.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to just put on a fake mustache. Way easier to do that than put it in post. So I thought that was petty, and it took me out because there were moments where I was like,
The very first scene.
with the cell phone.
That was so infuriating.
Yep. Nope. I felt the same way, and almost everything on Themyscira was bad CGI.
See, I actually, in Wonder Woman, the CGI on Themyscira bugged the crap out of me.
Really?
I thought that it was, when they were having that fight scene, I thought it was rubbery, and that took me out of that movie, and I felt the same here, that it was the same thing, where I felt that the CG was wonky, which is a disappointment, because in my humble opinion, I thought that the CG in Batman v Superman was perfect. The Doomsday stuff, he looked like a real beast to me.
I'm having a hard time remembering CGI that bugged me in BVS. So
Doomsday looked a little video gamey to me, and there was a couple of wonky things where Batman's flying around on the thing. But no, I agree.
Yeah.
Your point being that the CGI in Batman vs Superman
was better.
Much better.
Yeah, was better.
Yes.
And I guess with the mustache thing, our first spoiler would be that Superman comes back to life.
Okay. So let me. That's almost the first thing I wanted to address.
Okay.
So I've never been a giant Superman fan. I appreciate who he is and what he's done for the genre and what he stands for. But I don't know. I just never was a big Superman fan. And Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman didn't really do anything to remedy that. But for some reason, I was so freaking excited when he came back. And my favorite part of the movie...
Well, that's cool.
It was cool. My favorite part of the movie was when Superman is holding Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman back, and Flash runs around the back, and you see Superman's eye.
Yeah.
That was...
And Flash is like, what?
His
Somebody
face...
that's as fast as me.
Oh, man. So I at the advanced screening I went to, it was full of Comic-Con fans. The just sheer shock and laughter and cheers that erupted at that moment, because that's Superman.
Well, that was cool.
That was great.
I think that's what's lacking throughout the movie, though, is you had a couple of those kind of fan service moments, but there was just not enough. And that was part of the triumph, in my opinion, of Batman vs Superman, was all of the constant references to the universe, and this just not so much. The CGI. Holy crap. They were just like standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was so bad.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, I get maybe that's a limit of what they were doing with reshoots. Because sometimes with reshoots, it's like, well, we can't go to that field again. We gotta CGI it.
But this is like a $200 million movie.
Yeah, and it takes you out.
I honestly think it's 3.
This is a tent pole, and they should invest that money if they want to make it back, because these reviews are going to get out there that, well, it looks like crap, so don't go see it.
It is. I was so surprised that the CGI took me out of it. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie that was new that the CGI, I went,
That's not quite right.
that's not right.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. All right, Andrew, so give us some more of your spoilery thoughts.
Oh, boy. I don't know, each hero gets like a cool moment throughout the movie. I mean, Wonder Woman taking out the terrorists at the beginning of the movie was just like, yes, that was awesome. And then the rest of the movie doesn't live up to that. I don't know, there was a couple of times where the tension on the team felt a little forced. When they're standing around in Batman's lab, and they're like starting to get angry at each other and yelling and stuff, I'm like, well, this is just Avengers.
I almost think you almost need that, though, with the superhero team coming together. It can't be. I do think you would have that. You would have that clash, because it is a lot of big personalities. It is a lot of. You look at Aquaman. He's obviously used to working alone. Batman is, he's been alone for quite a while. So I think there would naturally be that tension. So that wasn't so much a problem for me. I just, the first part of the movie when they were trying to get the team together, I almost felt Aquaman was like needlessly abrasive. You know?
Yeah, he came off as like just the hugest D-bag.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Like a
what
surfer
the
dude,
hell is your problem, dude?
yeah. And maybe we'll
Lighten up.
maybe we'll go more with that with the backstory. But I will say Jason Momoa was great. He had a lot of charisma. Actually, everybody did great. Everybody was cast pretty well. I was worried about Ezra Miller as
I
the
was
Flash.
the most skeptical probably when they announced that casting. I thought, that is not Barry Allen. Come on.
But I appreciate what he did with the character.
And it worked.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
For me, I agree with with some of the tension being forced. I really appreciated the tension between Batman and Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated the conversations that they had regarding Batman's guilt. Because in truth, it's his fault Superman got killed.
Yep.
But I wish there would have been more there. There just wasn't enough.
And what was there I did like. And I liked that he called her out for not being what she could have been.
For the past
I thought that
100
was
years,
really great. That was really important stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Some of the problems that I had were there were just things, and first of all, I could really tell the difference between who was directing.
No,
Yeah.
every time there was a slow-mo shot, I was like,
Zack
Zack.
Snyder.
Every time there was a joke, I was like,
That's
that's
Joss.
Joss.
Now there were a couple things that Whedon obviously added that were perfect. The line that I think was one of the most important was when he said, "Do you bleed?"
Oh, that was
Okay,
that was good.
That was obvious because you could tell the lip, so it was obviously Whedon.
Yeah.
But that was one of the most powerful moments because it pulls back to the animosity that still exists between those two men,
Yep.
and that he would have. And I love that he I
as deeply buried
recognize
as it may
you.
be. Yeah.
Where he didn't know Wonder Woman. He didn't recognize anything around him. He was just confused. But he sees Batman. He's like, I know you.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I love the "Do you bleed?" That was great. It was a great callback. I love the callbacks to Batman v Superman.
Like going back to the Kryptonian ship.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it needed
Little
to
Doomsday
bridge
thing.
that.
Yeah.
It needed to pay off some of those moments. Some of the moments obviously weren't paid off yet. And I hope that they will be, like the Flash coming back in time.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen in this one.
I'm sure that's when if and when there is a Justice League 2, which who knows if there will be. Hopefully there will be. I would that would have to be a tie-in with Darkseid.
So here's one of my concerns. DC is doing a lot of weird stuff with their movies now. They're saying that they're not really doing a universe, that they're just going to be doing standalones. But this movie actually made me more excited to have a universe, to have all these characters work together. And especially, I really loved the scene when they're talking about Steppenwolf, where they're giving his whole backstory, and they're seeing him fighting, and it's 5,000 years ago with the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, freaking Green Lanterns!
Okay, yeah, the Green Lantern. Yes, that was awesome.
So the spoiler, there is not a Green Lantern in the movie that we know, but there is Green Lanterns in the movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think Shazam.
The lightning
guy
dude,
shooting
oh my
lightning-
gosh.
I didn't even.
I think
didn't
that
connect
was
the dots.
Shazam.
Yes,
It
that
could
makes
be, it
sense.
could be.
Yes, that would make perfect
Yeah.
sense.
So yes, there is, like, they did that, and it was, I think, BVS, they threw in these things that were like, this is for the comic book fans, but it was so out there and not good that I think even some comic book fans were a little bit like, well, you're
That's why I
pushing
liked it though.
I know, but hold on. But with this, like, for some reason, they just worked a little bit better. They weren't so vital to the plot. They were like, here you go, guys. This is in the universe.
I love that sort of stuff when directors will take moments or take characters that only comic book fans would know, but that are innocuous to the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Man of Steel, the fact that it was Emil Hamilton as the scientist. Little things like that I really, really appreciate. And so having that there was a Green Lantern and that it was basically of the race of Tomar-Re was cool. That he was dressed in kind of an old world looking sort of armor.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
was cool.
It was really cool. And so all of that was great. I loved the building of the team. I felt that some of the humor was misplaced.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
felt that particularly the moment after they've split the mother boxes and Cyborg and Superman are laying on the ground and they start laughing. It was kind of like, okay, I like to see them humanized, but it did not work for me at all. It was like,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
these
a
are two
little-
guys who don't know each other.
Over the top.
Yeah. and it didn't feel right. I did love the fact that in the fight with Superman, Batman got his arm dislocated and Wonder Woman had to pop it back in place.
No, that was the thing. Batman was made human in this movie. He really was.
And they did set up Ben Affleck stepping out of the character.
Well, yeah,
that was set up.
He really leaned into the gray hair this time and really kind of went with that.
See, for me, I agree. I've had my biggest trepidation. My expectations actually were about that low as well.
No, we talked about it a lot.
Yeah, you can ask Sippy.
Ask me.
I have been not excited, surprisingly enough, for this movie. I was more excited for Thor. And as a DC Comics fan, and a deep DC Comics fan, that has been somewhat troubling to me.
Yeah.
But I understand the reason. The reason why is because it feels to me like DC doesn't know what they're doing, or the Warner Brothers. DC knows what they're doing. Their comics right now are awesome.
knows exactly what they're doing. Warner Brothers is just the worst at managing this.
And that's what we've had this conversation before, that in the comics, DC.
Call out to Trump there.
Oh, taking a drip.
Yeah. I was taking my wink.
So let's not get political.
Sorry. I'm not sorry.
So you totally made me lose my train of thought.
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, gall. Okay, so in the comics right now, DC Comics is killing it.
For sure.
With their stories are amazing. And Marvel is floundering pretty hard.
Yeah.
In the movies, it's the exact opposite. Marvel has their together, and I just swore. Sorry. For you kids out there.
Buzzer.
I'll bleep it.
They can say that in PG.
Yeah, so there you go. They said it in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But Warner Brothers seems to be floundering, and it's obvious with the fact that they had two different directors in this, and they don't have a clear vision going forward. Yep. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't excited, because I don't feel like they have a clear vision going forward. And I'm with you. This made me super excited for a shared universe, and I want more.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're now like, well, we don't know if anything is going to happen. I'm just like, I want to reach through the screen and slap whoever's in charge, because if there's an in-story reason for having Ben Affleck step out as Batman and bringing someone else in, I'm in. If you're going to do something funky with Flash, I love it. But I want another Batman movie. I want another Superman movie. I want some of these, especially the Superman in this movie. This is the Superman everyone's wanted.
This was the best Superman out of all three movies so far. My wife was talking to me about this.
Yeah, I think so.
Her favorite part of the movie is when he and Lois are standing in the field and she's hugging him. She's like, "No more dying." And he looks down with her in his little small town boy accent. "Yes, ma'am." Like Rachel's heart melted. That's what Superman should do. He should melt hearts.
Well, and starting the movie with the cell phone, even though his mustache was painted out, that was a good thing to do because of the fact that we didn't see that Superman so much in Batman v Superman. We saw hints of it in the extended version.
The only smile we got from Superman was when he was getting some bathtub jiggy.
When he is passing the little girl over to her mom after the factory fire, he has a smile on his face.
Not a real smile.
I'll go with the expert. I defer to the expert.
Yeah, he had a smile on his face. I love Superman. But starting it out with that was a moment that this series needed to see the fact, because they talk a lot about Superman being an inspiration, but you didn't get to see that. Yeah, because you saw things in BVS more through Batman's eyes, where you saw him as a threat and you saw everyone commenting. And I love that. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful way to present a real world look at what would happen if Superman did that, if he had really existed.
Let me talk about the shared universe. We saw who at the end of the movie come in? Spoiler?
Deathstroke.
Joe Manganiello, who you saw in the test footage that Ben Affleck had released a couple of years ago for the Batman, when he was still the head guy on the Batman. Well, now Matt Reeves has taken over the Batman, and now this whole thing is going down with Affleck. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
I know.
But clearly Manganiello is going to be in the Batman. He has
to be, because he has now been established as Deathstroke.
I know. So
how is that going to...
I don't know, but that makes me very excited, because I was pretty pumped about that casting. I think he looks like Deathstroke.
Oh, he's perfect.
But as big a deal... Well, Steppenwolf was an okay character. He was all right. But, I mean, his role was merely to be a threat big enough to bring in... He only had one good line for me. And that was...
in the trailer, because that's how I was.
What was your line?
It wasn't in the movie when he says, "This world is No Kryptonian, no lanterns. It will fall like all the others. It was not in the movie. It was in the trailer, and it's a damn good line.
No. My favorite line, or my only line that I liked from Steppenwolf was, "Child, my axe is still slick with the blood
that was
of your
good.
sister."
That was creepy.
That was like a creepy, intimidating, dominating good line for a villain. But other than that, he was just like, "Mother."
Now, see, I liked Steppenwolf.
Sacrifice.
I liked Steppenwolf.
Honey hat.
This is the reason Steppenwolf was a great villain. No. This is the reason why I don't believe that Steppenwolf was the weak part of this movie at all.
Okay.
No, the weak part of the movie was that freaking Russian family. You're like, what the F are they doing here?
I kept coming back to them.
No, Steppenwolf was great at setting up the new gods. And the new gods are so freaking confusing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make any sense. The rules of the new gods change throughout every single Jack Kirby comic and up until now, with Grant Morrison writing even new rules for the new gods. It's like this is a great opportunity to establish the rules of what the new gods are, how do they play, and the mother boxes, making that something that's understandable. In the comics, it's a very abstract idea and concept, and in this, it makes it very digestible.
But they didn't say boom tube, not once.
Not once. Well, for me, that's why I think that a lot of critics are not going to like this movie. Because a lot like BVS, there were things about, like with the Flash appearing in the dream sequence, we got that right away. We were like, oh, okay, he's traveled back in time, blah, 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 blah. We understand that Steppenwolf is an emissary.
Of Darkseid.
Of Darkseid. Of something way, way worse.
Uh-huh.
And so we can be excited and be like, oh, Steppenwolf, oh, we know sort of the background of that stuff, whereas a lot of people and a lot of critics don't. For them, it's just like, oh my gosh, well, so there's another confusing villain. And that is a hard thing about these movies, is balancing, is getting it so that you get them. And I think that Marvel has done that pretty well. But like I said, there were problems that I had with the movie that I also had with Avengers. And a lot of that was, there were things about it with like the family, the Russian family. Yeah. Well, there was a waitress in Avengers that they just kept going
That felt like
back
another
to.
Whedon.
Yes.
Just like get that out of there.
And another pet peeve that I have that it cropped up in Avengers and it cropped up in this one. Don't do a news broadcast that doesn't feel like a real news broadcast.
Are you talking about the Amazonian fire?
Yeah, well, that and the dude, her husband's been kidnapped by
The
aliens.
lady that was swearing the joke that she joked.
Did not feel like a real newscast, and we've all worked in news. And so we know...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so we know it's actually really easy to make a news broadcast look correct. And so that bugged the crap out of me, and it bugged the crap out of me in Avengers. That whole montage at the end of people talking where it's like, I don't know if I'm safe with those people out there. It's like it didn't feel real, and it felt like Joss Whedon stuff. So my overall thought, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm excited to take my kids to go see it. And it was the product of two directors. I think that it could have been way worse.
Oh, yeah.
As being a product of two directors. It could have been way, way worse. So even though we've been talking a lot about the fact that you could tell in certain spots, the digging of the grave, that was a really great scene though.
It was.
The dialogue, the interaction between the characters, but
great.
But
that
just
and that
everything
right
else
there,
about it was just terrible.
Yeah.
Though every time there was a good line and good dialogue, I was like, Whedon. That's a Whedon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true. And Zach, if you're watching this, I'm sure you did a great job, and I'm sure you had some good lines in there. But Whedon's a master of dialogue in making characters cross-talk and everything like that. One Easter egg, though, that we should probably discuss, Hall of Justice.
Yes.
At Wayne Manor.
Yes, Wayne Manor.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
What the perfect location for the Hall of Justice for future
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah, I like that. And obviously they set stuff up with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke
You
at the
think
end.
Injustice League or Legion of Doom?
Legion of Doom.
I hope Legion of Doom.
Me too.
It's pretty... I don't know. They established the fact that Gorilla Grodd exists with a backhanded line about
Gorilla
sign language.
Yep.
Which I think is
I
great.
liked that.
So they have some great potential, which again excites me. I think that's the thing that I walked away from this movie with, was the fact that I am now excited for a shared DC universe. I am nervous that they're not going to pay off on that promise.
I don't think they will because, again, we go back to this whole concept of we're gonna recast Batman, and then it's gonna be in the same universe.
Well, let's
and
see.
then-
Well, I think they're gonna look at the reaction of Justice League. I think they were putting their eggs in the "this movie sucks, no one's gonna like it" basket. This movie, I think what Marvel's done a really good job of is making a movie that caters to comic book fans and general audiences. DC really hasn't done that. Man of
No.
Steel was pretty
Awesome.
but geared towards comic heads. BVS even more so.
Maybe I will agree with that.
Wonder Woman, I think, appealed to more mass audiences.
Yeah. Yes.
And this, I think, appeals to mass audiences. Because my wife, who's not a big comic book fan, had a great time. She really had a lot of fun. She thought The Flash was super funny. She loved it when Cyborg said "booyah."
Oh, from Teen Titans, I didn't even make that connection.
Uh-huh.
Ah, yes.
Yep.
Booyah.
She really liked when Superman first came out and was just like beating up these
was
guys.
awesome.
When he headbutt Wonder Woman into the ground, my wife was like, there was a true reaction, and she didn't do any of that in BVS. In BVS, she sat like, I have to pee. And guess what? She had to pee in this movie too, but she didn't get up to do it because she wanted to see it.
Well, hopefully it will make a lot of money so that we can pay off all of these thoughts for the future of being
Right.
able to have this universe. I loved the Superman in this movie. I just
Nope.
loved him.
Me too.
And I loved that
Superman, the Batman, and the Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The whole team.
they all did a
The
great
big
job.
three
All
were
of the
great.
characters were great.
They all did a
of
great
the
job.
characters
They
That's
were a good
true,
team.
yeah.
And their coming together did feel more natural to me than it did in Avengers. Avengers did feel more manufactured. We have to get Hulk there and we have to do all that stuff. And I love Avengers. I
in
love
a
it.
way.
But in this one, it was okay. There is an actual threat, and there was the fighting. There was I didn't have a problem with Aquaman being kind of a d-bag.
Okay.
Of him being like, no, I'm not going to join your
Jason,
stupid team.
if you're watching this, I think
love
you're a
you.
lovely person in real life.
But yeah, that was sort of my thought. Is he was a total loner. He was like, no, why would I? And I loved his comment when Batman said, Superman died at my side, and he's like, exactly.
Point well made.
That's why I'm not going to go with you.
Yeah.
So
So what do we have coming up DC-wise?
we only have one movie next year, and it's Aquaman. That's it.
Aquaman.
Seriously? Only
Only
one?
one.
Flash, maybe beginning a little bit of development.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
they've obviously cast Shazam.
Yep.
It's
But
being
none of
produced,
the-
it's being produced by New Lines.
I think
that
that 2019 it was when we get Wonder Woman 2 and Flash. So
Wonder
yeah,
Woman
it's
2.
only Aquaman, and then there's no announced. I mean, they've had announced the Batman movie,
Batman.
which keeps getting pushed off.
Also Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, ring a ding ding. And I'm hoping that, like, you knew immediately that you didn't like Suicide Squad. I left that movie excited. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool. I watched it a second time, and it did
Yep,
not.
same.
And I was
it
right.
did not- and you were right. And you were
Same.
right.
Same.
And
Absolutely.
so I was watching it going like, oh, wow, yeah, what I have in my head right now, storyline-wise, is better than this.
So you'll watch Justice League again, and you'll realize.
So I'm
that
hoping that does not happen. I'm hoping when I take my kids to go see it tomorrow, that I have the same reaction. I'm like, that was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it wasn't Anna Karenina, but it was a good movie that I enjoyed, and I am hoping that is the case. And we want to hear from you guys of what you think. Make comments below and
Yeah,
tell us
let
whether
us-
we're up in the night or anything.
Yeah, tell us if there's any Easter eggs that we missed too. I think we mentioned quite a few, but if there's any we
I'm
missed,
sure there's more.
we sure would like to hear it.
And in the coming days, I'm sure that every
Every
comic book
new-
website
yeah,
in the world
right.
is going to have it. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. I'm Steve,
I'm Andrew. I
I'm
guess.
Sippy.
and we are Geek.
Get out of here.